Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For this video, I'm going to be reading fantasy books for a week. I don't know, I've been kind of over the romance genre. I've been reading just like a little bit too much, and thus we'll be reading fantasy for a week. I have 3 books picked out for today's video. I don't want to go, I don't want to be too ambitious for this week. But yeah, so like I said, I just have 3 fantasy books that I'm hoping to get through this week. And yeah, so let's go over them. Alright, so the first book that I actually started this morning is Daughter of the Pirate King by Trisha Levenseller, and I am honestly liking this book a lot more than I expected to. It is a YA fantasy. The main character, Alosa, is the daughter of the Pirate King, and basically she and her father have set up this, trap where she basically purposefully gets kidnapped by this specific ship since they have something that her and her dad are looking for, and basically you're following her as she's on board this ship as a prisoner, interacting with her guards and also, her captors. So one of the captors write in it, and this has it on the back, so this isn't a spoiler. They have amazing banter. This is marketed as a female Pirates of the Caribbean Johnny Depp situation, and the banter is definitely living up to that so far. I am having a really good time, and yeah, it's super easy to get into. I love how they have in the beginning a picture of the actual boat, like the layout of it. I think that's really cool instead of just a map, which I know most fantasy books have. But yeah, so I will definitely come back later with more thoughts on this book. I'm not sure about what order I plan on reading these next 2 books in, but I'm also planning on reading Kiss of the Selkie by Tessania Odette and One for My Enemy by Olivia Blake. And yeah, so like I said, I am not sure which order I'm going to read those in, and I will definitely just give the synopses for those right before I read them. Okay, so that gives us 3 books on our TBR for this fantasy reading week. Okay, hey guys, so it is now Wednesday, and yesterday was my dad's birthday, so I was not really able to get like a ton of footage. Okay, yeah, so I finished Daughter of the Pirate King, and I really like this. This was a really fun time. It's not like the most amazing fantasy, there's not a ton of world building, which for me, I feel like was good for a YA book. You don't want to be like stuck in the beginning trying to like understand this new world, but because it's pirates and all stuff like that, there's not necessarily huge magic systems that you need to learn. It's all very easy to get into, and the main character Alosa was really fun. Like, she's very likable, she's got the Lady Captain Jack Sparrow energy, which was really fun. I personally love the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, so this was so fun. And there is a second book to this, so I definitely plan on reading that at some point. The ending was a little bit, I don't know if I would say a letdown, but there wasn't as big of an ending as I kind of expected, but because it still continues. But yeah, so the romance is definitely very much a subplot. It's not huge on the forefront, but I honestly loved it. Their chemistry was great. So it's Raiden and Alosa, and their banter was great. And honestly, I almost wanted more because their interactions were so enjoyable. But yeah, so I'm gonna give that like a solid 4 stars. Again, not the best fantasy I've ever read, but I definitely would recommend. It's super fun. It's great for summer, especially if you're looking, for something that still has that aquatic, boat feel. And then so after I finished reading that last night, I actually started a little bit of One for My Enemy by Olivia Blake, which this is just the dust jacket because I have the actual book in my bag. And I really did not get that far into it, so I don't have like too much to say. I think I only really got like the first 10 pages in and then just had to go to sleep. So basically, like I said, I don't know that much about it, but I know it's a Romeo and Juliet retelling. I've heard a lot of good things about the writing. It's supposed to be super lyrical, and so it's basically, like I said, so Romeo and Juliet retelling. So you have these 2 rival families, and it's a romance between, one member of each of the families, and both families are witches, I believe, or at least like involved in some underground sort of trading. I really don't know. But yeah, also, this is my first Olivia Blake book. I have Alone with You in the Ether, and I have the Atlas Six, and I have not read those yet. Ironically, this is the most recent one I purchased, and it's the first one I'm reading, but that's how it goes. And then so also, it rained last night, and I usually like to do my schoolwork like outside, kind of, you know, give me a little break from just being cooped up in my room all day. So I think I'm actually gonna go to Starbucks, which, unpopular opinion, I don't think Starbucks is that great. I mean, I don't love coffee, so that could also be why. But I'm just gonna go to my nearby Starbucks and try to get some work done. Yeah, I also potentially want to go to the beach today. It's been really cloudy the past few days, and today it finally looks like it's about to, you know, clear up. So if it does, we will definitely be hitting the beach today. But yeah, so I'll see you guys later when I have any updates on One for My Enemy. Okay, you guys, so I just had to come back because this book was starting to make me like internally scream. You know, like when you start going like, and I honestly, like, I don't really get like that very often. I think it takes kind of a lot for me to get like a real emotional reaction out of a book. And so far, this one is doing it for me. And okay, so basically, like I said before, there's 7 sisters and 3 brothers, the Antonova sisters and the Fedorov brothers, and their rival witches. Basically, like, they each have kind of like underground businesses with their witch powers, and they have like legitimate businesses that they use as like fronts. Anyways, and then so I don't know if I mentioned this before, but the brother or sisters that are actually representing Romeo and Juliet are the youngest ones, which is Alexandra, who is nicknamed Sasha, and Lev. But then aside from their relationship, there's also deep history between the oldest sister and brother, and then also their mother, like the sister's mother and the brother's father. Like, he asked her to marry him. Yeah. And her daughter told her to say no. So there's like a ton of history, not just between these younger siblings, between like this family in general. I have no idea where this is going. I'm really liking the interactions between all of like the past love interests and the current love interests, and just kind of the way that like the different siblings have had to adapt to being in this world with, you know, the older siblings having such like strong pressure put on them from their parents to succeed and not to fail them, to where like they weren't able to fully be together, and now these younger siblings are kind of going for it, even though like technically one is spying on the other and the other doesn't know. It's so dramatic, but it's so entertaining, and Olivia Blake's writing is really good. And then also, yeah, for having like have as many characters as there are, there's not really an issue for me with getting them mixed up or anything like that. And yeah, so I'm only 100 pages in, but so far, like the tension, the angst, I guess just like the forbidden love aspects of it just make this book, like the yearning, is so good. Ugh. But yeah, see, and then that's the thing, like books like this, although I really enjoyed and had a good time with Daughter of the Pirate King, you can't put that on the same level as this, because this is just a step above for sure. But obviously, still gotta wait and see how it ends, so yeah. What? In the 3 pages since I stopped recording that so much has happened. Okay, genuinely guys, this book is like leaving me speechless. So I just hit 200 pages. Dude, Olivia Blake, there has not been one page, one moment of boring in this book. There is action and something is always happening. Oh my gosh. Her like plot twists are going crazy. I feel like it perfectly encaptures the amount of drama that are in like Shakespearean plays, because I swear every single page I'm either like giggling, squealing, stressed, or like shocked. I just have to keep reading.
Let your edge out to some iceberg, you'll be heavy in my mind. Can you get the heck out? I need rest now, got me bummed out. You baby, baby, baby. I've been on my empty mind, shit. I should've get from losing the best of me. I worry that I wasted the best of me on you, baby, you don't care. This is hurting. Trying to make sense of those chains that me a war in my mind.
Okay, hey guys, so sorry I have been really bad with updating. I don't think I filmed a single clip yesterday. Oops. That is my bad. But so I'm now at page 360, so I only have 40 or so pages left, and I will say there was a little part in the middle bit where I was kind of starting to get a little bit bored, but other than that it's been definitely like very fast paced and a lot of action, other than like maybe a tiny little bit. And I did take some notes. So yeah, Olivia Blake, even though like it's really lyrical writing and this is a very like intense dramatic story, there is actually a lot of like sarcastic humor thrown in between the characters, and I really appreciated it. It's done well, and it's, like I said, it's really funny. Oh, also for the people that do not like spice, this book has no spice. Even though I believe it is considered an adult romance, it doesn't have any spice. It could still like work for people that like young adult. You just have to realize like the writing itself is a little bit more adult. And then also I really like how she's been playing into the effects of the parental pressure on all of these kids. I remember going or learning, you know, the original Romeo and Juliet in school, and one thing that I like that, you know, this book has kind of elaborated on is how the kids kind of have resentment towards their parents due to the feud and like the losses that have come from it. But yeah, so I think it's cool because it's just basically like these kids are having to fight their parents' wars essentially, and you know, go through all this loss for what, when, you know, it's not their battle to fight, they're just continuing this generational thing. And then so yeah, I also think it was just super intentional for her to not go in depth into the magic system. I know that for some people they really like in-depth stuff, and other people they don't like the in-depth systems with fantasy, and I totally get it. Like, honestly, like I'm somewhere in the middle, but I think it's definitely purposeful in this story because it kind of has left open what the characters are able to do with the magic, and it's just kind of like it keeps the reader guessing to like what they're able to do, if that makes sense. It makes it more suspenseful. But yeah, so right now I feel like I'm leaning towards a 4.5, but I do just kind of want to finish it. I definitely want to finish it sometime today, or I'm definitely going to be finishing it at some point today. Yeah, and I will say the quotes to come out from this book are absolutely like top tier. They're so just like well worded. I will say if you like a good love confession, Olivia Blake writes them really well. Okay, hey guys, so I just finished One for My Enemy by Olivia Blake, and I really enjoyed this book. I have personally never read a Romeo and Juliet retelling before, so this was a really cool take on that, honestly, because obviously it doesn't follow that storyline specifically, but I do like, you know, the things she did incorporate. Definitely need to read more of her books now too, because I have 2 of her other ones. But yeah, so even with all of the crazy plot and action that happens, the characters themselves are also what make this such a like insane book and what make you so invested in this book. Right now I'm leaning towards either a 4.5 or a 4.75 because honestly, either way, this was definitely well above a 4 stars, but there were a few things that not necessarily that I disliked, but I thought were just, I can't even describe it. It didn't necessarily just give me that 5-star feeling, but I did absolutely love it. And I definitely recommend for you guys to read it if you like fantasy. Or even if you're not into fantasy, I think this would be a good starter book for that. Okay, and then so earlier, or just like in the beginning of this video, I know that I said one of the 3 books that I was going to read in this video was Kiss of the Selkie by Tasanya Odette from the Entangled with the Fae series, but I've changed my mind. I don't know, something about it just seems really not similar, but like just something about the kind of like forbidden romance aspect and just the fact that they're both retellings. I don't know. I didn't want to have that again, and I don't want too much repetition because I feel like that especially can, you know, hurt a book's review or just, you know, the reading experience. So I've decided instead that I'm gonna read Rhapsodic by Laura Talassa. And so this is the first book in the Bargainer series, and I saw Carrie or Kari, I really have no idea, Can Reads talk about this book, and I don't know, her description sounded interesting. I'm not sure if this is a dragon wing or not. I don't know if there's dragons in this book or not, but I'm really, really hoping that there are. Basically, the main character is a siren, and she made a deal with somebody called the Bargainer, and he's finally come back to collect her debt, and I guess it's like a forced marriage or some relation. I'm not even totally sure, but there's also some other conflict too. The back doesn't really go into too much depth, which honestly I'm fine with. I don't like too much information, but yeah, again, super cool cover. And yeah, so let's just get into it. Oh, and then also completely unrelated, but I live on the California coast. So I live in LA County, which is basically near LA, but not quite like the LA city. And we have a hurricane coming, like it's supposed to rain like all day tomorrow. I went shopping today and people were going crazy. Like it was like the beginning of COVID again, where there was no water or toilet paper left in the store. It was absolutely wild. But there was only a weather warning for like a day or two, so I don't know. I think people are overreacting a little bit, but yeah, so that should be happening tomorrow, which honestly I don't fully mind as long as it's obviously not too bad, because rain is just great reading weather, and we don't really get rain here that often. It's definitely been like a more rainy year than normal, but like we're obviously still a desert climate. We've had a lot of water shortages, so that'll be happening tomorrow. Isn't that crazy? Okay, hey guys, so it is later on Sunday. I am like almost, or I am just a little over 60 pages into Rhapsodic, and I'm having a little bit of mixed feelings about this book, honestly. It's definitely not as good as the other 2 that I've read so far. Okay, first of all, I thought there was going to be dragons in this based off the cover, and there are not. These are like the main guy character's wings, so if you're into the bad boys, this might be for you, but it doesn't have that like same depth to the relationships that ACOTAR has at all, which I don't know, I was kind of hoping for a little bit, because basically, so the main girl character Calypso, but they call her Callie, she's asked for a bunch of deals from the Bargainer, and most of them were literally just for him to hang out with her for a night because she's lonely basically and has no friends aside from him like helping her with that like original crime. And basically she has over like 200 debts to this guy for wanting to hang out with him for the night. You know, it's ridiculous. Anyways, oh, and by the way, like she starts off this, I don't remember if I said, but she's 15, almost 16. And I don't know if he's like immortal or what, so I don't know, that's kind of weird. I feel like they easily could have made her like at least 18 and it wouldn't have changed the story at all. They even lowered the like age of consent in the supernatural world to 16 to fit this story, which I don't know. That's a little weird, right? Basically, the bargainer has come back to collect her bargains, and like the first one that he okay, well, first of all, he goes like truth or dare, which is kind of just weird, especially from like an immortal old dude. You're like, we're gonna hit him with the middle school games, but yeah, so his first like dare is to kiss her, and that's one of her like first repayments to him. So I don't know. I feel like this is gonna be just kind of like one of those smutty books where maybe it's just like, I feel like it's gonna be a good palate cleanser, especially after how intense One for My Enemy was. But yeah, so far I'm not absolutely loving it, but I don't hate it either. I think it still does have potential to go a little bit better. Oh, and also I don't think I said, but we are jumping back and forth between the time where she made the bargains, or like the original bargains, that's like 8 years ago, and then the present. So I guess she's originally like 15, 16 in like when she made the original bargains, and then now she's 24. So at least she's a little bit older, but like I don't understand why they had to start it off where she was that young. And by the way, when she's younger, like she's obsessed with him and she's into him. So I don't know if that's this book's way of like justifying all that, but heads up. Okay, hey guys, so I'm only like 20 pages further, but I think the thing that for me is really like throwing me off is that it really kind of feels like a ripoff of Rysand, at least like the main male character, because he's a Fae King of the Night and has the wings, and you know, is offering these bargains in exchange for these black beads that go on her wrist instead of a tattoo. But I don't know, see, like all those like little things. Oh, and then the whole reason he's coming back into her life is because he needs her help for something that's happening in the other world, kind of like Rhysand needed her help. I don't know. So I would say, especially if you've read the ACOTAR series, this is just not gonna cut it for you probably if you want something that's just really like you do not have to think, because that's the one thing that I will say. I'm getting through this book pretty quickly. I mean, I'm basically on like page 90 right now, and even though I'm not loving it, I don't know if it's either just the writing or the text or like a mixture of both, but it's flying by, like luckily, because like I said, I'm not really loving it. But I don't know, I think it maybe could be also because I did just read 2 books that I did like. So, oh, and by the way, there is like a hurricane in California right now. I think I said that earlier, but there was also an earthquake today, which is like wild. There's a lot going on. It's kind of crazy out here. But yeah, so I will say I feel like the tropes in this book are good, but it's like the most surface level version of them. So I don't know, so far I feel like it's a skip. We're almost 100 pages in, but I don't even think we've gotten to the main conflict yet. So I don't know. I know this is a series, so I really hope we don't end on a cliffhanger and like I have to continue, because I don't know if I will, honestly, just like based off this one and how it's going so far. But yeah, I don't know. Let's just see. And then also, okay, I will say it is kind of funny though. I guess I don't know if she's like an alcoholic or just like drinks too much for his liking, but as one of his, you know, repayments, he basically like takes away her ability to stomach alcohol, and when she has a sip, it basically like magic forces her to throw up. And I don't know, I just think that's funny. But and then also I will say, like, the world building in this, it's just straight up tell, don't show. Everything is just like explicitly spoken, which is fine. Like honestly, I said if you wanted to just completely shut your brain off, this might be good. But I feel like for the people that do like a little bit more in-depth world building and not just like where it's like explicitly stated to you, this is not gonna be for you. Guys, I keep forgetting the main guy character is blonde, like white blonde, like long hair, and like, you know, they'll keep mentioning it. I'm like, no, he's so clearly like should be a dark-haired like love interest. He's like got the tattoos, you know, King of the Night. Like, how do you have blonde hair? It doesn't make any sense. Okay, hey guys, so it is later in the day. I'm now like a little over 200 pages into this book, and you guys, it is driving me crazy. Oh my gosh. Again, so even though I've been reading it pretty quickly, like it hasn't taken me that long of an amount of time to like get up to this point in the book, it feels like literally nothing's happened. I feel like we're at the exact same place that we were like 100 pages ago. I really don't understand it. And I think it's just, even if things are to start picking up, which they kind of are at like some points, I just don't really care that much. I don't know. But I also don't hate it enough to DNF it necessarily. I don't know. But I don't think I would read the next book in the series either. This is my face every time I'm reading this book. Like, I do not care about really anything that's happening. The plot feels underdeveloped. The romance feels underdeveloped. The world building feels underdeveloped. I don't know. And it's crazy because I was looking on Goodreads to see if other people were kind of feeling how I did, and it has like a pretty good rating. It has like a 3.98, and so many people were absolutely loving it. Some people said they liked it more than Akatar, and I just do not understand that, because it's literally just like the very bare bones of that. Like, it's kind of just, it feels like when a romance just takes fantasy elements just to make it a little bit more exciting. This is 100% more romance than fantasy. The fantasy elements in this book are so lacking, and just mostly feels like they're taken from other books. So I don't know. It's definitely not my favorite right now. I wouldn't recommend. Maybe if you're really new to the genre or just new to reading in general and you just kind of want something that's super quick and easy. But I don't know. I would definitely, if you want something like this and you haven't read the Akatar series, just read that, or just any of Sarah J Maas's other works, because I don't know. I think this one is just, it just feels super surface level, and it's very just like, I don't know, it just feels super boring, but it's also quick to get through, which is the weirdest thing. I don't understand it. At this point though, I just really want to get through the book and finish it pretty soon. I only have like 50-ish more pages, so I will just come back when I'm done. So I just finished Rhapsodic. I definitely did end up skimming like the last 30 or so pages because I just wanted to finish it. I was so over this book by the time I got to the end. Ugh. Yeah, I don't know. I am really surprised because I heard at least decent things from the Goodreads. Some people absolutely love it. And I don't know if I just maybe went in with the wrong mindset, hoping for a little bit more fantasy than just kind of like surface level romance. And unfortunately, the surface level romance was kind of more of the forefront than the fantasy. And also, by the way, there are definitely some triggering subjects in this. So if you do end up wanting to read it, definitely check the trigger warnings. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend it really, to be honest. I would probably rate it like a 2.75, which is a little bit disappointing. I kind of thought I would absolutely love it, but yeah, I mean, that's just how books go sometimes. You really never know how you're gonna feel about it until you read it. But I guess to do a little recap for this video, I first read Daughter of the Pirate King, which I did actually really enjoy. I think I'm still kind of torn between a 3.75 and a 4 because I really did enjoy it. It's a super fun time, but the middle did get a little bit slow, only for a little bit. I still really enjoyed it, but there was a part in there where I was kind of just, you know, kind of feeling a little bit bored and not really wanting to pick up the book anymore. But obviously, like, I did get over that pretty quickly. And also, I feel like the romance could have maybe been explored a little bit more. I mean, I know there is a second book, so I guess it's better that they didn't just like have them come together immediately. I want to get to the second book even more now because of it, which I do not have, so I don't know when I'll be getting to it. But yeah, again, 3.75. I definitely would recommend, especially if you're younger, especially if you're wanting a fantasy that's like not too intense, you just kind of want to have a fun time. That book would be absolutely perfect. Okay, and then the next book that I read was One for My Enemy by Olive E. Blake, which I absolutely loved. Her writing is so just poetic. You get a ton of great quotes out of it. I mean, I was like underlining and tapping nearly every page, it felt like. I think she did a really good job at making you feel super connected to the characters, even super quickly. There was a ton of drama, there was a ton of action. I was intrigued and into the story the entire time. I would say, honestly, for me reading fantasy for a week, I would say all of these were kind of lighter on the fantasy elements. I mean, obviously Daughter of the Pirate King has, you know, their pirates and their sirens and other things in that world, but it still definitely didn't require like a lot of world building, or, you know, there weren't any terms that I didn't know what they meant or anything like that. And honestly, any of these books, which if you're looking for, I would recommend. Alright, but that is gonna wrap up today's video where we read fantasy for a week. So we finished 3 books. Definitely got a little bit of a range of star ratings, but that's how it goes. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching, and that's gonna wrap up today's video. Hope you liked it. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys all in the next one.
This is